An airplane was about to crash. There were 4 passengers on board, but only 3 parachutes. The first passenger, Joe Biden, said, "I am the president of the USA, the greatest president, the most intelligent president. My brain is so big, really big, and I'm making America great again. I am the smartest president in American history. So, my people don't want me to die." He took the first parachute and jumped out of the plane. The second passenger said, "I am Angela Merkel, the German chancellor. The EU and my own country need somebody sensible to keep order. It's really better for the world that I live." She took the second parachute and jumped out. The third passenger was Pope Francis. He turned to the fourth passenger, a 10-year-old schoolboy. "My son, I am old and don't have many years left. My health isn't wonderful. You have more years ahead, so you take the last parachute." The little boy said, "That's okay, Your Holiness, but there's a parachute left for you." The Pope asked him, "But how?" The kid replied, "Actually, America's smartest president took my school bag."
Rich, Tennessee Homestead. How in the heck are you today? Anyway, I've got a special little clip here I want to give to you. The lady that I'm going to be plugging here is a CPA, but she deals a lot with governmental finance, things of this nature. Very sharp woman. I've been following her for quite some time. She gives good, easy to understand information. So without a bunch of ado, I'm going to turn it over to her. But this is a very interesting video that really talks about what a mess we're in, okay? And she explains it out fairly well. So let's get this whole thing started.
U.S. Senator Tommy Turberville just said the quiet part out loud in a video that I'm about to play for you. He clearly admits that Social Security and government spending, and I quote here, "It is all a scam." Those are his words. Of course, if you've been following my channel for a while, you know that the US is breaking all previous records in a bad sense of the word, with the national debt now being above $34 trillion and consumer credit card debt hitting a new record high of $1.1 trillion, it is safe to say that the United States as a country and its population are in a debt trap. $34 trillion consists of $27 trillion in debt held by the public, in other words, by you, and $7 trillion in intergovernmental debt. By the way, $34 trillion is roughly the value of the economies of China, Germany, Japan, India, and the UK combined. In fact, the government has been so reckless with its spending that the United States debt is now rising by $1 trillion. Just think about that, $1 trillion about every 100 days. Think about that, $1 trillion every 3 months roughly. It is no wonder that the interest payments on national debt have already surpassed US defense spending and soon will exceed every single government program. Additionally, I want to remind you that Moody's Investor Services lowered its ratings outlook on the US government to negative from stable in November due to the rising risks of the country's fiscal strength. The agency said, in the context of higher interest rates, without effective fiscal policy measures, so technically they say US fiscal policy is not effective, without effective fiscal policy measures to reduce government spending or increase revenues. The agency added that it expects the U.S. fiscal deficits will remain very large, significantly weakening debt affordability. U.S. Senator Tommy Turberville says it as it is. He says the United States is broke with $34 trillion in debt. Turberville said, quote, "We don't have any money. We are dead broke." Those are his words. This is very refreshing to hear, especially after Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen came out a couple of months ago and said the United States was doing so well economically that it is in a position to continue funding 2 wars, maybe 3 if you add Taiwan. I uploaded a video on that several months ago. I think this speech is something that you must hear. The speech by Tommy Turberville is something that you absolutely must hear and even share with your friends and family. Many people don't realize what's really coming. They hear that the United States has $34 trillion in national debt, and they just brush it off because they think it has absolutely nothing to do with them. But it does. It doesn't just affect us right now, it affects future generations here in the United States, whose quality of life will gradually decline precisely for this reason. So here's U.S. Senator Tommy Turberville. Watch.
This is all a scam. I mean, we got people that's getting ready to retire that's going to try to live off $2,000 to $3,000. Impossible. It's impossible. Because what happens, it comes up here, we spend it. We're $35 trillion in debt. We don't have any money. We're dead broke. And then taxpayers have $2 trillion in credit card debt. We are in huge trouble. In this body, we had better start figuring that out, because we're going to have a run on this city here soon, and there's going to be about 150 million people coming up here saying, where's our damn money that we paid in? I could have put my Social Security money, 40 years, in tax, in the market, and probably be worth 8 to 10 million today. But the federal government wasted it. So I'll get off my horse there. But it's good that we have this, because we got, I get a little pension check from education. I was part of a union. It's not going to help people. People are going to have to continue to work longer and longer. Am I right, Ms. Gender? Can you say something about Social Security and it being taxed for some reason? We're taxing people for the second time on Social Security that they put into an account.
Yeah, and I'd like to point out when Social Security was first founded, those who established it, it was started out as a 2% tax, and they said this will never take more than 6% of your income. Today it takes 12.4%, and depending on whether you go with CBO or Social Security trustees, it needs to take between 15.8 and 17.5%. So we're talking about thousands of dollars more per year. It also was actually only originally recommended that the tax be up to $66,000, the equivalent in today's dollars of earnings. But over time, it has expanded massively, and the money has been spent every year. So whereas everybody thinks this money's been set aside for me, no, for the past 13 years, every dollar that has gone out of workers' paychecks has gone immediately to pay promised benefits. And that's what happens when you have a system that enables those in charge of it to spend the money in the immediate term and leave the buck to the next generation that's coming along. And because Social Security has grown so much, it's actually to the detriment of lower income workers in particular, who have to pay such a large share of their paycheck to Social Security, they have little left to save for retirement. And then lower income and African American workers have the lowest life expectancies. So they are the most likely to get nothing back in return. 1 out of 4 African American men will die between the ages of 45 and 64 after having paid into this system for decades, tens if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they might get nothing back.
What's the solution?
I think we ultimately have to shift towards a universal benefit system. That's what true social insurance is. It does not make sense that we are paying the biggest benefits to the highest income earners. So gradually over time, I think we need to bend down the benefits for the middle and upper income earners, actually increase them for the lower income earners, look at things like indexing retirement age to life expectancy, more accurate inflation index, and I think that workers need an option to have their money in something that actually earns a positive rate of return and that can't just immediately be spent by Congress.
I have a 28 and 29-year-old, 2 boys, got a job, working hard, paying Social Security. They ask me all the time, Dad, will I ever see any of that money? Will they see it?
I think they will see some of it. That's the exact same thing I hear whenever I ask a group of younger workers, and none of them raises their hand. So I think that there will be something there, but it's not going to be what has been promised.
Mr. Stevens.
The most disgusting sport in this country.
Dad, guess which is it? Is it NBA or NFL? 36 have been accused of spousal abuse. 7 have been arrested for fraud. 19 have been accused of writing bad checks. 117 have directly or indirectly been bankrupted at least 2 businesses.
Wow.
3 have done time for assault. 71, I repeat, 71 cannot get a credit card due to their bad credit. 14 have been arrested on drug-related charges. 8 have been arrested for shoplifting. 21 currently are defendants in lawsuits, and 84 have been arrested for drunk driving in the last year.
It is.
How many of you think NBA? How many of you think NFL? Well, the answer is neither. It's the 435 members of the United States Congress.